You are now listening to the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network.
Hey, this is Jason Kleberg from the Force 5 podcast, a show that forces a guest to come up with a movie-themed top 5 list topic, and then we reveal our picks on air. Top 5 heist films, top 5 tearjerkers, top 5 movie dogs. Every show you'll be asking yourself, what would be on my list? Guests include directors, screenwriters, actors, podcasters, musicians, authors, and even a professional wrestler. Subscribe to the Force 5 podcast, and you won't just be a listener, you'll be a list nerd. The Force 5 podcast, available wherever you're listening now.
Hello, and welcome to Split Your Head. I'm your host, Bob, and today's special guest is Ben DePaoli, the owner and operator of Iron Fortress Records, as well as Death Relic merch. In just a handful of years, Iron Fortress has quickly become one of the most reliable and fresh death metal labels to pop up, continuously satiating my need for new and unique death metal. There isn't quite just one specific sound, and the label is even more exciting because of it. Not to mention, whenever I buy a shirt for one of these brutal bands, I can throw an obscure horror t-shirt in my cart thanks to Death Relic merch. So naturally, with Ben's amazing curation and side hustle of incredible horror merch, I just had to have him on to pick his brain. Ben, thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate it. I've been really stoked to get more death metal on the podcast. It's really only been like one episode per season where I get to talk to someone. And I've got you on, and you work with so many bands, so I'm sure you'll have a lot to talk about.
You found the death metal guy, man. That's all. That's pretty much
did.
all I do. Of course,
Yeah.
with the death metal stuff too, but it goes hand in hand.
Right, exactly, yeah. So let's just start from the beginning. Like, what inspired you to start Iron Fortress Records?
Wanted a new hobby. I've been doing heavy metal music for a long time, probably since I was like 12 years old. And as I got older, started my family, got married, had kids, you lose a lot of time to play live music, to go to shows, things of that nature. I've always been a hardcore collector of things. Back in the day, it was CDs. As I got older, it was vinyl. Then I fell in love with cassette tapes. And I was just like, man, it'd be cool to just do a record label. There's a ton. Death metal is a ton of boutique labels, tons of small guys out there that are releasing limited edition stuff and super underground stuff. And that's just kind of where it was at. And I just did it. And it's easier. It's easier than you think it is just to kind of start something up to get going. Obviously everything's dependent upon how successful you want to make it based on how much time and effort you put into it. But
Right. So, sorry, you were saying that you've always been involved with metal. Does that mean that you're playing in bands before?
I used to, yeah. Middle school, my first band, I think I played 8th grade at the talent show. It was an emo
Nice.
band.
Oh, sweet.
And
Okay.
as I got into high school, this was like early 2000s.
Yeah.
So right when like metalcore, like the proper metalcore sound was kicking off, metallic hardcore in the late 90s.
Okay.
I was into a lot of that stuff. So I had a metalcore band in high school. I had a hardcore band, and that probably faded out. I think I stopped around 19 to 20 once I started, college kind of got in the way and doing all
Okay.
that stuff. I was still going to shows and doing that, but I didn't have time to be in a band anymore because I actually went away to school, so I had to quit what I was doing.
Yeah. Well, I just want to put it out there. Those are not dirty words on this podcast. Emo, metalcore, hardcore. I
Hope
do
not.
feel like we're
That's
kind
my
of
bread, my bread and butter, man, from back in the day.
right.
That's my
Oh,
childhood. It's not even a guilty pleasure. People always talk about guilty pleasures, or they're
Yeah.
ashamed to be like, "Oh, I was, punk rock kid, or I listened to metalcore." Like, dude, you like what you like, man.
Totally. Yeah. I actually just last week saw Poison the Well and Converge. So
I had tickets to go see them on their Opposite of December reunion tour they did. I
Right.
ended up not being able to go, which totally sucked. But
Ah,
dude, Opposite was like, that's all I felt like all I listened to when I was a kid. And I saw a ton of bands growing up, and Poison the
yeah.
Well was always one that I never actually got to see. So that
Oh
was a little
no.
heartbreaking, but it happens.
Well, they're still going. I feel like, at some point you might be able to see them,
But that tour, they were playing Opposite from front to back. Like if I
Right.
ever wanted to see them, that is what I would want to hear. Tear from the
Totally.
Red would be a second. But that older school, I mean, they're still great, but they're older school actual metalcore. I mean, they're pioneers of that genre. So
Yeah. Well, okay. I hope we're not getting too into the weeds by me asking this then, but like, how did you get into death metal then? Was it also from the
It's a
start as
natural
well?
progression, I guess.
Mm.
You get into heavy stuff and you kind of just like film.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh,
I
true,
didn't I
true.
didn't start watching Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I started with Monster Squad and Goosebumps.
Oh,
You know what I mean? So
totally.
like you're
Yeah.
always when you like macabre things, like we do, death
Yeah.
metal is very macabre and it's heavy and it's underground. And as you start getting into heavier music, it just proceeds into death metal and beyond.
Right. So it's like you had your love for like metalcore, hardcore, and you were watching horror movies, and then eventually
Yep,
they
just
birth the
merged.
death metal. Yeah,
Yeah, one big
interesting.
conglomerate.
Yeah, I think for me, when I got into death metal, this was going back like 18 years ago or something. I'm 41. I had to remember that. So 18 years ago, I just randomly decided to read about death metal, and I got all those books like Choosing Death.
Hmm.
Yeah, like all the books about like the history of death metal, and for some reason, that was how I got into it. Was like educating myself on it. For some reason, that was like what pushed me through getting into it. Otherwise, I think I would have just been like trying to wade through
There's a
the
lot there's a,
genre.
there's a lot to wade through, and I honestly, looking back, I don't even know if there was, people are always asking, what's the moment, right? I don't think there was a singular moment. I mean, even when I was growing up in middle school, my best friend's dad drove it was a 98 Mustang 50, I think is what it was, and he had a
Okay,
gigantic Gorgut sticker on the back of this thing. I mean, we're talking it
nice.
spanned the entire rear windshield. So
Yeah.
like, and he was a guitar player, and his dad was in bands, and we were always over at his house, and there was
Okay.
always like like heavier music than what I had been properly exposed to or what I was listening to at the time. I was still
Yeah.
around it, so you just kind of take bits and pieces and put it all together, I guess.
For sure. Yeah. And I think for me, it was like hearing Legion by Deicide. That
Hmm.
album was the one that made me go like, oh, okay,
Yeah.
and that's kind of what like glued me to it over the years. So okay, so then you've obviously had a love for metallic hardcore, as we were talking about, got more into death metal. So why did you specifically focus on death metal then for Iron Fortress Records?
That's what I'm most heavily into now.
Okay,
I would
sure.
say probably, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, old school death metal proper kind of had a major resurgence,
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
like big time. And like it was just kind of everywhere. And there was a lot of good newer bands coming out, which makes it a little
Mhm.
bit easier to get it. It's easier to stay on top of things, in my opinion, than it is to go back in time and really
Mm.
wade through the genre, because people think the market and death metal in general is saturated right now. Man, it was just as saturated in the 90s. There was
Yeah,
a million
true.
bands that sounded like Deicide and everybody else, you know what I mean? It was
Yeah,
just
yeah,
a little
totally.
bit more difficult to find them, but they were around.
Yeah, because you didn't have the internet back then.
Yeah, it was all tape trading or you read a zine.
Right, right. And like your label produces a lot of tapes, which I feel like probably taps into that kind of nostalgia a little bit of like how people got into death metal back
Yeah,
in the day.
tapes are cool, man. They're getting a little expensive for my taste to get produced, but they're still cool.
Yeah.
They're a
Yeah,
cool
for
format.
sure.
They're a retro format, just like how there's a resurgence of VHS. I mean, there's new horror movies that are coming out on VHS, which is wild. Tape was kind of that same way, right when that uh, the old school death metal revival happened. Kind of tapes kind of came with it. I felt like now
Mhm.
tapes are fading out slightly in popularity, mainly because they're getting more expensive to make. Back then,
Mm.
you could make a tape for a couple bucks. Now it's double, if not triple that. So depending on how many you're printing.
Yeah. I mean, not to go like too tendentially in another direction, but
We might just
sticking with
warn you, we might
I
go
know, I know,
in
I know. I was
lots
like,
of different directions. So no, no, we're freaks, no leash though,
yeah.
baby.
But yeah, it seems like, because I did listen to you on the podcast, Dr.
Oh,
Mesnick or something.
yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
you
we did
guys,
like a four-way conversation with New Standard Elite and Dark Descent, and I was on that as well. Yeah,
yeah. So you guys talked about the whole issue of tapes becoming so expensive.
it's a
And it
big
just
issue.
makes me wonder is like, are CDs kind of the one, physical media that's kind of stayed the same price
Yeah,
wise?
I would say
Okay.
price-wise, production cost-wise, popularity. I mean, when I first started listening to music, it was only CDs.
Same.
And that's all I was collecting. I mean, vinyl was kind of around, but it wasn't as prominent as it is now. And tapes weren't a thing either with metalcore,
Mm.
or I listened to a lot of punk rock when I was a kid through Fat Records.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
And they weren't doing tapes, and if they were doing vinyl, I don't remember vinyl being very popular. And if I did, I wouldn't have money for it anyways. But
Yeah.
yeah, CDs are cheap. Like at the same quantities as a cassette tape, you're looking at way cheaper production cost, and they're higher quality. They last longer. They're just more popular in general.
I mean, I'm sure I'd piss off a lot of audiophiles by saying this, but it could be argued that like CDs kind of have an upper hand in terms of like audio quality.
Yes, they
Because
do.
from what I understand, like vinyl, I mean, for sure over cassettes, but vinyl, from what I understand, doesn't have the same range of frequencies, especially for bass.
Vinyl can be tougher too, depending on the quality of the vinyl print as well as the master behind it.
Okay.
Your record player, your needle. There's a lot of things that go into proper sounding vinyl. But
Mm,
there's like a warmth that you get from a vinyl record that you don't get from other formats. Also, the format itself is large. You know what I mean? The picture's
right.
big.
Yeah.
It's just cool. It's super cool. It's just a lot more expensive to purchase and collect, but it depends
Yeah.
on your taste, I guess.
But the other thing too is like with vinyl, you need a real proper setup to get the most out of it.
I would
Whereas
agree. Yeah,
you don't really need that for a CD player or like
not as
like
much.
a Discman, you can kind of get to the goods right away.
Yeah,
For vinyl that yeah, you need like the best preamp or whatever, and you need the speakers set up in your room so you can hear everything bouncing off the walls
yeah,
properly, and
I would agree.
it's yeah, it's a whole lot of money to go into something just to get your hands on like a death metal release.
Yeah. You just don't want to stream it digitally, man. Spotify just ruins the sound quality. People don't even
Oh
realize
yeah.
because they're
Yeah,
so used to
absolutely.
streaming only. But it's like, dude, if you listen to this on a CD on a proper sound system, it'll blow your mind compared to what you're listening to on Spotify or Apple Music, which isn't as bad as Spotify. Spotify's the worst by far.
Yeah, yeah. I did make the jump from Spotify to Apple and noticed it was like night and day. It's almost like the volume goes from like 5 to 10. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Yeah.
I listen to a lot of YouTube, mainly because I like the higher quality. If I want to stream something, because a lot of the old school
Really?
stuff, like, yeah, YouTube sounds better.
Okay.
It's
Huh.
not as diluted, I guess you could say.
Yeah, but there's like a compression added from YouTube, right?
I mean, there's compression added to everything, I feel like, but
Yeah,
also
but
YouTube's got stuff
yeah.
that's like you can't get on Spotify, like super like people are just uploading all types of old school stuff. And I don't
Right.
download music like illegally or whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's really no other way if it's, out of print or never been printed physically, there's no other way to truly check it out. So
Yeah, I think that might be a good way to segue into this then, because one of the things I want to ask you is like, how do you go about finding bands for the label?
sometimes it's submissions,
Okay.
very rarely, I feel like.
Oh,
A lot of it's just me hunting bands down.
okay. Sorry, when you say rarely, do you mean people rarely reach out to you, or rarely you
No,
enjoy the
I
submissions?
I rarely do I enjoy the
Okay,
submissions.
okay,
Yeah.
that makes more sense. Yeah.
Yeah, I get a ton of submissions, but I would say 98% of them are just I'll listen to a snippet of a song, or I'll take a look at the artwork, things of that nature. Take a look at the song titles, album title, band name, all the things that go into the release, and
Okay.
I can judge pretty quickly if this is something that I feel like fits me because everything that I'm releasing is things that I like. It's
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah.
It's never based off. Oh, this is gonna sell, but I hate it.
Right.
You know what I
Okay.
mean? Like
Okay. Yeah.
one of my goals, like, because you see a lot of classic labels. Relapse not as bad, but Metal Blade, Nuclear Blast, Century Media, all these they got insane back catalogs of old school death metal, like the classic stuff, and they
Yeah.
beat that shit to hell. First of all, with releasing, which is fine, I guess, but their newer stuff is just so the other direction, and they put out, in my opinion, so much trash. But I'm an
Mm,
underground guy through and through, and I don't ever want to abandon that.
yeah.
Like I don't want to be this mega label, right? That has like 20 employees and I'm putting out the next new metal or power metal or whatever I my marketing team
Okay.
thinks is going to sell. That's never a goal of
Yeah.
mine.
Right. But I mean, you could want to expand, but solely off of like the same amount of output of quality.
I
Like you could
definitely want
want
to
that,
keep
yeah.
a goal of mine is to keep working with bands that are on a label that I think do well and that
Okay.
sound well. And I'm always looking to work with bands that are already established, and then
Okay.
bands that would perform well. But I have to like it.
Yeah.
If I
Yeah,
don't,
for
even
sure.
even what I bring in for the distro in the store, which is really robust these days, that's
Hmm.
still very very curated by me.
Nice.
I
Okay.
get labels all around the world. But you do a lot of trading. I do wholesale and trade. Like if I were to only trade my goods, I would not even have remotely the breadth that I have on my distro. You have to wholesale product as well if you want a good selection. But I get a
Right.
lot of
Right.
labels, international labels that want to trade, and I look at their lists and I'm like, I don't know what any of this is.
Yeah.
Uh, so I'm not going to bring it in. It's got to be curated. I'm not just like gonna. Oh, you want to trade with me? I can get rid of my product. Take some of yours. I don't want to just dump all types of stuff in the store that I know nothing
Right.
about.
Yeah. Can we go back to the submission thing though? Because that's
Hmm.
really interesting to me. So you're saying that you get a lot of submissions, 98% of it you're not interested in. Is there times where you hear something and you're like, this is really good, it's just not appropriate for Iron Fortress?
I no, not. I feel like most people kind of have an idea on if I would maybe pick to release it or not. You know what I mean? Like
Okay.
I'll get a lot of thrash, which I don't release and never really have. There's
Yeah.
a couple bands that releases that are kind of thrashy overall, but
Okay.
yeah, most of the time it's when they say we feel like we'd be a good fit for your label. I'm like I could
Yeah.
be like, yeah, it's almost there most of the time.
Oh, okay.
But
So
like you said in your
yeah,
intro though, I feel like the label's fairly eclectic. Like it's all death metal,
totally.
but it's not just brutal death metal. It's not just old school death metal. It's not just thrash. I have my first what I would consider melodic death metal band coming out called Vow from Chicago.
Yeah.
I did their first single 2 weeks ago. We have a pre-order going on for their new album right now. That's my first time I've really dipped my toes into mellow death at all, to be honest with you. But it's just because
Yeah.
when and they submitted surprisingly, and I was blown away. They submitted. I checked out the album. The art was phenomenal. Their promo photos looked killer, which is an art form in and of itself that old
Totally.
school bands totally understood. New school bands do not understand the value of a proper
Right.
promo photo. Please,
Okay.
bands, take proper promo photos, dude. I'm telling you, they're important.
Okay.
Um, and then
No,
I
I
listened to the album all the way
mhm.
through. It's like 6 tracks, but it's fairly long. All day long, dude. Just back to back to back. I was like, yes, we're definitely putting this out.
Yeah, that release is one of my most anticipated from Iron Fortress. And
It's
you know,
very
I
good.
I agree. I'm not really a Mellow Death fan either, but something about and I'm saying this just off the single. I haven't heard the EP yet at the time of this recording, but the single really caught me. And I was trying to describe it to some friends of like, okay, the production reminds me of Black Breath. And the songwriting reminds me of like Tragedy a little bit meets In Flames.
Yeah, it's because they used to be a metalcore band, like a proper metalcore band,
Right.
and they've
Yeah.
slowly transitioned into what I would consider metal death, but they still have those metalcore roots, and they bleed through vibrantly, which is a plus to them because
Yeah.
I've always been a metal death fan, but there's not a lot that comes out these days. It's just not a booming genre right now,
Okay.
and they do a really good job of kind of honing, their old school sound that they started with how they want to sound moving forward. I feel
Right.
like their next record is going to be like even more so in the direction they want to move in, but this one's kind
Perfect.
of a cool mesh that sounds very original.
Yeah. Yeah. I felt like the songwriting was 100% Mellow Death, but it does have a bit of that like metalcore kind of background a
Well,
little
and
bit,
if you
you
go
know?
back and listen to all that metalcore stuff, it's mellow
Yeah.
death with breakdowns.
Right. Yeah.
A lot of
And
it is. That's what people don't really think about it that way, but that's what it is.
yeah. Well, the one of the bands that opened for Poison the Well and Converge, Balmora,
Hmm.
who I saw last week, are kind of part of this sound as well.
Yeah, they're part of that whole revival scene. I feel like they might have not started it, but they made it popular again.
Yeah, and to be honest, when that stuff was coming out in the 2000s, it was maybe my least favorite of like metalcore. But
Hmm.
hearing it done now, there's something about it that's like a little bit more refreshing for me. I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe back then I wasn't really acquainted with Melodeath as much,
And
but
it was still new. New genres aren't always the most popular. It kind of takes time to get
sure,
it. Like
yeah,
it was too metal for the hardcore kids. You know what I mean?
yeah, I
So
could see
it
that.
kind of grew into its own species. Nowadays, I feel
Right.
like all these genres and the people that listen to them are so together, formed into
Yeah.
one group. It's kind of hard to
Um,
decipher the difference.
well, could you see yourself maybe putting more stuff like that on the label, or is that going to be a little too far out of Iron Fortress's, sound?
I mean, even Vow is stretching it a bit.
Sure, I
But
could see that.
I'm never gonna like totally shut down the idea of doing something a little bit different. But
Okay.
again, most of it's what I like, so it's gonna be old school death metal. It's gonna be, a hard death. It's gonna be brutal death metal. I would say 98% of what you're gonna label is gonna be a mixture of those genres.
Sure, sure. Which brings me to ask you something. What happened to Blood Domain?
I just put it on hiatus. I didn't formally
Okay.
announce that, but that label was kind of my love letter to what we've been talking about, which is my
Right.
roots within metalcore.
Yeah.
And this past year, the label Iron Fortress specifically in the store have really been booming, and I've kind of
Mm.
had to take a step. I always bite off more than I can chew.
Okay.
I get these ideas and I'm like, let's just do it, and I just do it. I don't really put a lot of thought into it. I just guns blazing, man, all the time. And sometimes cool things can happen because of that, and sometimes you just start tanking. You know what I mean?
Right.
So
Yeah.
I found that it was taking time away from my bread and butter, which is Iron Fortress and the distro, and
Sure.
that's what I wanted to focus on. So that was just kind of some of the fat that I needed to cut out.
Okay. But maybe down the road it could be revived or something.
Potentially, I'm leaving the idea open. I still would love to keep dabbling in that stuff, but it just wasn't. I didn't have the time to make it successful.
Yeah.
So then
Yeah.
it became a time sink and a money sink, and I wasn't really getting anything out of it. And
Fair.
I was never looking at Blood Domain as a profit source for what I
Okay.
do. You at least want to break even.
Yeah.
You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right. Right. Yeah.
So
Hmm.
it was just I needed to focus on Iron Fortress.
Okay. Here's the idea. Split release, Iron Fortress and Blood Domain. You've got like a brutal death metal band and a metalcore band, and that's the split. And
Dude,
maybe
splits
that
are
could be a way to revive
these
it.
days. I'm done with splits. I'll be honest with you.
Really?
I dip my dude. They're on paper. They sound badass. Bands love doing them. They don't get supported financially from people.
Okay.
I put out some badass splits last year, and I would
You
say
did, yeah.
maybe one of them actually performed well.
Which one?
The Ritual Fog and Chaos Relic.
Really?
Dude, those first of all,
Huh.
those two bands kill. Chaos Relic, if you're not listening to them, listen to them. Especially
Okay.
those two songs they did for that split, unreal. I mean, Ritual Fog is great too, but
Mhm.
Chaos Relic is killer, dude, super killer.
So I was hoping you're going to say the consanguinity split.
Oh, with
Uh,
Resplendency?
yeah, because I
Nope.
love that split.
Sadly, that did not. But I think a lot of that has to do with you kind of have to strike while the iron is hot. In order to do that, you have to
Hmm.
be in control of the promo.
Okay.
It's hard to just go back, even a release that's only 2 months old, and then all of a sudden put it out because everyone is already on to the next thing. Especially when it's a
Oh.
split, it's just like 2 songs per band. You can't really. That's the
Oh.
problem is as a consumer, you can't dig your teeth into that.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
It's not like that's why everyone wants 20 minutes or more of music if they're going to be
Yeah.
buying a physical item. They want to have something
Yeah.
they can keep on and sink their teeth into. You can't do that with a split, no matter how
Mm.
badass it is.
Yeah. I mean, I won't lie. My excitement over it made me think that you were going to do something with consanguinity because everything else heard from them
We've
was
talked.
great.
Nothing is confirmed, but we've discussed that. I'm just kind of
Okay.
waiting to see what they come back with, honestly.
Yeah, because they seem like a perfect band for Iron Fortress, in that like they are. I would guess you would say brutal death metal, but
Hmm.
their songwriting leans a little bit more eclectic, I guess, a little bit
Yeah,
more.
it's
I don't
different, and I'm
know.
always looking for something a little bit. I wouldn't say strange, but you want to look for originality.
Yeah,
You
and
want it
they're
to be somewhat comfortable, but also original, if that makes any sense.
sure. Yeah, 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 absolutely. Like kind of like I was like, what's the best metaphor? And I'm instantly going to fucking like Mary Poppins, spoonful of sugar with put some medicine down.
Yeah,
Like, okay, anyways.
exactly. Cut. We're done
Yeah.
here.
But consanguinity seems to be part of like a new scene that I've noticed of like a lot of these like way younger death metal bands.
Well,
popping up?
especially brutal death metal is very popular right now, especially with the young kids. A lot of the hardcore kids,
Mm.
probably thanks to Final Resting Place, I'm assuming, they've kind of
Okay.
introduced. They kind of took because those were just hardcore kids. They just kind of took brutal
Right.
death, like
Yeah.
old school brutal death metal, and then made it popular. Now, obviously brutal death metal can range in styles, right? Like the
Yeah.
Final Resting Place sounds nothing like what you're going to find on Comatose Music or
No.
New Standard Elite. Not even remotely the same. But
No.
oddly enough, you'd consider them the same genre. It's strange, but yeah. So
Mm.
there's just a ton of new kids, man, that are just jocking BDM right now. It's popular.
Yeah. Well, I feel like the stuff I've heard, like say like Anatomize,
Hmm. Great
Resplendency
band.
as well. Yeah, like
All
all
young
these.
kids. And Atomize is
Right.
like 17.
Yeah, and they're kind of leaning more into like the blast beat heavy stuff. I wouldn't really
Hmm.
think of them as like, hardcore adjacent necessarily, but you've definitely put up on some bands that are kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Like sort of
A
rest on
crossover.
the yeah, crossover, like they
What what
rest in
what
the
I
middle between that.
I call it hard death, hardcore death metal combination.
Oh, okay. Okay. You said that earlier and I was like, I wasn't sure
That's what
what
I
that
mean
genre
by that.
was.
Yeah, death metal bands
Okay.
that have an essence of hardcore, but are not hardcore. They don't have like
Okay.
proper breakdowns, but you could like kind of hear the influence. I mean, but that's been around. Dying Fetus has been around forever, dude, and they've been doing it
Right.
forever. That's not a new
Yeah.
idea,
No, no.
but
But it
it
seems
just
like now it's almost like a point of contention a little bit for some people. This idea
yeah.
that
I feel
like,
like
oh,
the
it's just
genre itself is fading in popularity just a tad, though. You don't hear as many
okay.
bands coming out as they were when I first started the label. 3.5, almost 4 years ago at this point.
Yeah, yeah. Well, your first release was actually, if I'm not mistaken, a split with two bands that I think were kind of in that vein a little bit. And
Oh,
they're actually from
so
Canada.
you're thinking of Scorching Tomb and Primal Horde. That was
Yes.
my fourth or fifth release. So I did that
Okay.
the first summer with my friend Johnny from Frozen Screams. We co-released it on vinyl.
Okay. So, but I'm not totally off because it was like FF01, right?
So that was
Or if zero
that
one.
well
Okay.
no, so I think Johnny and I for fun because he was Frozen Screams, I was Iron Fortress, and we were gonna do more
Okay.
crossover stuff, and I think we
Right.
called it Frozen Fortress as like a joke. So
Okay.
that's
Okay.
what the catalog number was. I think. I'd have to look. I don't even remember. But if it was FF, that's probably what it represents.
Gotcha. Because I went on Discogs and it was like that was listed as the first release. So that was like the first vinyl release then.
No, that was just the first release I did with Johnny. Honestly,
Oh,
that was my
okay.
fourth vinyl release. My first one I did was Piss Rot,
Oh, right, right, right. Okay, cool, cool.
and that
What's
now's
your
come full circle because now they
yeah.
have. I did their first album on vinyl, their first EP on vinyl, and then now they're coming out with their sophomore album. Actually, it drops tomorrow or 2 days from now on the 17th of April. So by the
April
time this comes out,
17th.
that album will had been out for like almost a month. So
Okay, wow. So you've kind of kept like loyal to a lot of these bands then.
it's other way around. They've kept loyal to me.
Oh, okay, okay. Like they haven't been like picked up by anyone else. They've just wanted to stay with you.
Well, it's their choice, whatever they want to do. I don't do. I mean, I do proper contracts, but I'm not. I don't make bands sign their lives away. And most of the
Mm,
time, at least where I'm at right now, I'm not like, hey, here's a 3 album deal. It's a 1 album deal for 2 years. You know what I mean? Like
right,
I have the
right.
rights for it for that long. I'm not here to steal bands' entire discographies. That's the very old school way of thinking. I feel like
Hmm.
that's just not the way I do things. So if a band, obviously they sign on for that album, the album stays with me. But that doesn't keep them from working with a different label afterwards. But hopefully,
Right.
I build a relationship. I'm big on relationship building. I'm big on community. I've talked about that on all of my interviews. I answer every DM, every email. Like I'm always engaging with people, and that kind of grows that. That's its community with the people that support me, and then also the bands that I work with too. You become friends, and you do right by them, and you do what you say you're going to do.
Yeah, yeah.
If everything goes well, then they stick around.
Was there any labels then for you that you kind of like took a lot of inspiration from? Like you kind of got those ethics from?
No, just kind of how I decided to do things. I felt like that was the right way to do it, I guess. I've never been one to take major influence. I don't look up to people. I don't have heroes. Obviously, I
Oh,
take
okay.
small bits of influence from my surroundings in general. I don't really think about it though. You know what I mean? So I think when I
Okay.
started my label, I was most likely looking at a ton of different boutique labels, Rotted Life, Gurgling Gore,
Yeah.
Dismal Fate, stuff like that. I was like, well, that's cool. I love the way this looks, and that release is killer. And but I
Hmm.
wouldn't say there was anything that was like groundbreaking and kind of laid the groundwork for how I wanted to run a label. That was just me, how I wanted to do things
Okay,
internally.
fair enough. Well, I mean, it sounds like, because as you said, you were playing in bands growing up, that like you really wanted to make this your creative outlet in a
Hmm.
way, because it's sort of like, it's sort of replacing that.
Yeah.
Am I correct in assuming
Yeah,
that?
I've always been relatively a creative person. Back then it
Yeah.
was musically, but I was even doing Photoshop and stupid stuff like that when I was in high school. And initially, before I graduated, I wanted to be a graphic design artist. Glad I didn't go down that route, but so
Uh,
I've always kind of had an artistic itch, and the
yeah.
label scratches that tenfold and more so. Especially because I do all my own layout design. I design everything for Death Row, like all my video editing, everything you see, literally everything across any of my socials. Anything you buy from me that's my release, it's all done by
Hmm.
me.
So the album covers as well, or is that something that
No,
you kind
so
of?
just the
Okay.
design work, not the how can I say this? I'm not an artist. I'm a designer, I guess.
Okay. Yeah.
So
So
it's like
yeah.
you give me the blueprints and I build the vinyl layout. But I'm
Right.
not
Okay.
there drawing artwork. I'm not that artistic.
Okay. But still, you have an artistic eye and you have an artistic ear.
Oh, dude, it's
Yeah.
yeah. I would say those are two fundamental pieces to my success.
Okay.
Knowing what actual good music sounds like, because we all know the market's flooded as hell, and there's a ton of
Yeah.
boutique labels. A lot of them are just, no offense to these guys, putting out trash, in my opinion, or bands that just don't need to have physical media. When there's a ton of amazing bands that people should focus on more than the 10 millionth random demo from a band that won't be around next year. That
Mm.
sounds like a million bands that came before it. I probably sound super old and jaded right now, but that's the way that it is.
Well, okay, Ben, you sound passionate. And I think that that's what people want to hear. They want to hear conviction. And this is why
Yeah.
they would want to flock to your label to see like what the hell you're putting out?
Hmm.
Is there any bands that you've wanted to work with that you haven't been able to yet?
Oh man, that's a hard question to answer. I want to work with every good band.
Okay. Okay. Well,
I
well,
don't
like,
know, like the new Cryptworm came out last week. I absolutely love that band, and their new
mhm.
album is phenomenal. I would love to work with them. Never gonna happen, but like that's always coming around. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. What's okay? So then, just for like shits and giggles, what's the like highest level band you could think of? You're like, fuck, if Iron Fortress could put out an album by this band, I could close up shop now.
Oh
This would
God,
be
you're
like a dream come
putting
true.
me on the spot. I don't know, man. I can't answer that. I listen to so much death metal, and I love it
Yeah.
so much. It's insane to even
Okay.
think about picking one band that would be the creme de la creme for me, because there's 1,000. Because there's
Uh.
so many good because I'm thinking more old school than I am new school at this point.
Okay.
Now I will
Okay.
say, how about this? How about this?
All right.
I will say,
Right. Right.
I said earlier about the brutal death metal revival. A lot of
Yeah.
and I'm focusing this year on a lot of reissues as well.
Ah. Right. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
just did Repudiation on CD
Yeah.
and tape. That's just the kind of the first step. But the big announcement that I had a couple days ago was with a band called Entorturement. I don't
Okay.
know if you've
Okay.
ever heard them, but they
No.
are like they just started doing merch deals last year after being gone since I think the '96, maybe. If the
Okay.
I could be
Wow.
wrong. Um, Descend into Deprivation was their original album. Then they put out a like a compilation that had like a couple split songs and some other stuff on it.
Okay.
So I'm doing that Descend album, and it just got remastered by my friend Scott, who plays guitar in Dying Remains from Canada.
Oh. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing band,
Big up.
amazing dude. He's killer, dude. Amazing guitarist, but also a great producer too. He handles all
Hmm.
my remasters and stuff that I do for all these reissues and any other things that I need sound
Yeah.
wise. And the new tracks, like the remaster tracks, sound amazing. But they're like, and
Sick.
Torturement is like one of the most known unknown BDM bands of the '90s.
Yeah.
Like this post I made got such insane traffic. People are just like shitting themselves, and I'm not surprised. I kind of knew
Yeah.
that that's what would happen. just based
Okay.
off how hype this band is and how hype
Yeah.
BDM is right now too, which just helps. But they
Sure.
only had that one release on CD. Nothing's ever been on tape besides probably some bootlegs, and nothing has
Okay.
ever been on vinyl. So not only is it coming to all formats, but it's the original release, not the compilation. And it's totally remastered and it sounds brutal as hell. So that's like
And torturement.
and Torturement, yeah. That
Okay.
was that was a high up. I have a whole hit list of reissues. That was like my number one that I wanted. And oddly enough, it was the first one that I got. I just contacted them at the right time, dude. I don't even remember
Yeah.
how I got a hold of them, to be honest with you. And
Okay.
they had, like I said, they had done some merch deals and those were taken off and they were making a little bit of money on it. And they were just like
Yeah.
all down for all the ideas I had. And now it's turned into something even larger than what it was with the remaster and everything else. So
Yeah. And so you're gonna do merch with it as well?
yeah, well, I'll do a t-shirt and long sleeve drop, pre-order drop, most likely. I mean, they've
Nice.
had they've had merch over the past year from a couple different Indonesian labels. I think Reality Fade did some stuff with them too, but
Mm,
yeah, I'll be doing it as well. But the main piece is going to be the vinyl tape and CD because it hasn't
okay.
been pressed in like over 20 years. So
Right, right. Is there anyone else that you can tease? Because this sounds really exciting.
about doing reissues.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've teased some stuff on my Instagram already, so if anyone follows me, they would probably already be aware of it.
Okay.
There's a Japanese BDM band called Vomit Remnants.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Super old school. Their first album, Supreme Entity, that is getting
Mm,
reissued by me also. It's been touched before, but it hasn't been touched in a long time, and I'm also remastering it. So it'll be the best sounding quality that you've seen from that band, and that'll be across all formats. I haven't told
nice.
anyone this yet, but there's another Japanese band called
Ooh.
Gorevent. Some
Okay.
people might be familiar with their original demo, their 3-song demo. Endless Human Hunting is what it's called. I'm
Hmm.
talking to them right now about reissuing that. I think only time that's ever been printed was on CDR by the band. So
Wow.
that's the type of stuff that I want to hunt down. Like Gorvent is a popular band. Their last record
Okay.
came out like 6 years ago, so they're not like super super active, but they're known within slam and brutal death metal. But
Sure.
that is just like it's hard to find these releases that haven't been touched at all. And that's just
Yeah.
one of those. Even if it is just a 3-song demo, it's a piece of slam history, in my opinion. So
Right.
it'll
Would
be
that come
cool.
out
It'll be cool to put it out.
as like a 7-inch or something though?
I'm just gonna do CD and tape for it. I would love to do
Okay.
vinyl, but I hate 10 inches, and 7 inches don't sell. So
Fair enough. Yeah.
sadly,
Okay, so the dream release for me, I don't actually know if it's been reissued in the past few years, but Orchidectomy, a prelate attrition, I believe is what it's called, and I think they're actually Canadian as well. Do you know that album?
sounds like something that would be on Comatose Music or New Standard Elite with a name like that.
Right. Well, but
Is it
Iron
brutal death metal?
Fortress, yeah,
Is it old?
late 2000s.
Okay, yeah. I mean, there was a ton of BDM that came out around that time. I mean, I was talking about Gorevent. That demo was from the early 2000s. So
So this is the album. I guess 2018 it was released last. I don't know if you can see that.
yeah, I don't think I've heard that. It
Oh,
actually, you know what?
that's great.
I made that endorsement post a couple of days ago,
Yeah.
and I told people to tell me who they wanted me to reissue, and some dude gave me a small list. That band was on it because I know that I checked it out on Spotify.
Okay. Oh, you did check it out. Well, it's not on Spotify.
Oh, I heard it somewhere then.
Probably YouTube, I guess, or because I
Maybe
got that off
I'm
Bandcamp.
on all of them. I feel like so.
Okay. I mean, I'm sure you would have heard it one way or another, but I'm pretty sure it's on Spotify. So maybe in 10 years, Iron Fortress
Yeah,
re-releases.
2018. That's probably a
Yeah.
little too soon for me to
For
wanna
sure, for sure.
pick it up, but
Yeah, that might have even been the Bandcamp release in 2018,
oh, okay.
but I have no idea. I did see maybe one of the Japanese merch labels just put out a T-shirt for it. So it's
Yeah, I don't.
circling around, you
What's
know.
the how many years does it need to be before it's considered retro? Is it 20, 30? I don't
I
remember,
don't
but
know.
I'm looking for things that are definitely 20 plus years old. Also,
Okay.
not even just the age, but like has it been repressed at all? That's like the most important thing. That's why the endorsement
Yeah.
release is so special because it's hasn't been touched.
Yeah, and sorry, so they're not playing together still though.
No, 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 no. They've been
Okay.
disbanded for many, many, many years, and
Any
there is
chance
no
of a reunion?
no. You won't see that happen. There was some kid in
Oh,
the comments section that was like, "When's the reunion tour?" Not gonna
yeah.
happen, man. Sadly,
I mean, dare to dream?
I
We've
guess
seen
keep your
things
fingers
happen,
crossed.
right? Yeah. Well, maybe with this album coming out, this reissue that you're doing, it might spark something for them, right? I mean, we're seeing this happen all the time.
I mean, it'd be cool. I'd be 100%. I mean, I wouldn't even need a tour, just a show.
Right. Yeah, yeah,
Like that
exactly.
type of band needs to like do a reunion show on like a fest. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right.
They wouldn't even need to do a full tour, just one show. But getting, 4 to 5 guys together that are in their 40s now, not so easy, especially if they live in different
No,
parts of the country.
that's true. That's true. Yeah. So when's the Iron Fortress Fest?
For this year?
Oh no, just at all. Are
Oh,
you gonna do
I
one?
did one last year.
You did one? Okay,
Last
my bad, my
October,
bad.
I did one in Indianapolis, yeah.
Okay, how did that go?
It was fun, man. It was fun. It was like a showcase. So it was
Oh, okay.
all our like bands that were on the label. There was 12 of them, I think it was. It was a
Okay,
long
who
day.
played?
Course of Demons, Decadent, Coagulating, Cryptual. Man, there's a lot of them. I'm trying to think
Okay.
on who all was there. Swamp Grave was there, Ectospire, Dysmorphia,
Mm. And
lots of bands.
so you said it was Indianapolis,
Hmm.
but you're based out of
Kansas City.
okay. Wasn't sure if I was okay to say that. Didn't want to dox you or anything.
Oh
So
no, you're fine.
did you have to basically like go up to Indianapolis
Yeah, I drove up
to
there.
okay, okay.
But it was about 7 hours from where I was at that time.
Okay. Why did you choose to do it there then?
Good central location for a lot of my bands,
Oh, okay.
and a
Yeah.
fairly robust scene. And there
Okay.
was like 3 local bands, Ripped Open, rest in peace, by the way. They
Huh.
disbanded sadly. Hammer and One Body Six Graves all played the show, and they're all from Indy, so it just made the most
Yeah.
sense.
Mm. So being at the fest, did that make you at all kind of like wish that you could go to more live shows to kind of like even seek out bands for the label?
I mean, Kansas City's not really known for a robust death metal scene, sadly. I feel
Okay.
like the one band that is kick ass from Kansas City, they're called Tomb Seeker. I actually signed them already.
Oh, cool.
But other than that, no one like is like supremely impressive, I guess you could say. I'm actually going to
Mm.
see them on Saturday night because Gatecreeper is coming to town.
Oh, yeah,
They're coming
nice.
with Dying Remains, Eternal, and then Gatecreeper specifically, I guess, asked for Tomb Seeker to play the show. So that was good. That
Oh,
was pretty cool.
nice.
Yeah. So
Sweet.
I still go to
Okay.
shows
Oh
when I
no, I
can.
figured. Yeah, yeah. It's just you've got a busy life. You're a family man, so it's hard
Well,
to get that all in
I live
there.
a further distance away from the city than I used to, so makes it even more difficult. But it is what it is.
Okay, like an
Sometimes you gotta
hour
travel.
drive or something.
Yeah, roughly hour to
Okay.
hour and a half, depending.
Yeah. Do bands ever send you live videos as like a demo submission?
No, a lot of times it's just like one of my biggest pet peeves is when they ask if they can submit. Like they'll hit me up on DM or they'll email me,
Yeah.
and I'm like, dude, just submit it. You don't need to
Oh,
request
okay.
to submit. I love when
Yeah.
bands have like a proper EPK, which is like electronic press
Sure.
kit. It's
Yeah,
got
yeah, yeah.
everything that's all decked out on it. Well, for the listeners, if anyone wants to know what that
No, no,
is,
no. You're right. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's nice to have it. That shows professionalism. But a lot of
Sure.
times it's just like, hey, here's a download. We'd love to work with you.
Okay, so they're kind of letting too many steps in for you really to like get
Honestly,
into the
streamable
music.
link, band photo, artwork if you have it done. That's really all I want to see. I don't need like
Right.
this big, bio and a million different links. You don't even have to send me the
Mm,
whole album. If you just want to send me a couple tracks or the best track, the single, that'll give me a good idea
yeah.
too. But yeah,
Yeah, that makes
nothing that's ever
sense.
live footage. Plus, I'm not going to base how about bands sound, like, how good a band is based off live footage. Anyways, it's a
Okay.
I don't care to watch live footage. It's
Hmm.
about being there to see it live. That's important, not just like
Right.
hearing the live footage. That doesn't really do a lot for me. But being there and
Yeah.
feeling the vibe and seeing the essence is a little bit different.
Hmm. Yeah, I guess I was just curious about that, like, because like you might not be able to see some of these bands live, and if maybe the live presentation is something that could impress you enough to sign the band, but I can
Most of the
understand like
time, most of the time, I feel like when I see a band, they all kind of resemble each other. I will say at the
okay.
fest, there was one band on the label that like blew me away with their live presence, and that was
Hmm.
Cryptual. Dude, it was so badass. You'll have to look up some footage of them playing live, but it's just like it's a whole aura. Cryptual. Crypt with a UAL at the end.
So then I'm okay to ask then, when's the next Iron Fortress Fest?
Nothing planned. So I
Okay.
mentioned earlier how I was cutting the fat.
Right.
That's probably going to be one of the things that I'm just kind of putting on the back burner for now because it's a
Hmm.
lot of it's time consuming.
Yeah. It almost makes sense for someone who's a promoter to maybe approach you about doing it for you in a way.
That would be great. So any promoters that are listening,
Yeah,
hit me
yeah.
up because I did everything last year by myself. So
Oh, wow. Had you booked
luckily,
shows before?
no, never. Um,
Oh, really?
and that process was it wasn't terrible. Luckily, some of the local bands helped me out a ton with the actual like day of logistics because they obviously
Okay.
had played a million shows and they knew the venue and who was running the venue, so that came in handy because I would have been totally lost. So I
Yeah, I
definitely
mean,
relied on my family, so to speak, to help me
okay.
put on the festival.
Okay. Yeah, because like I couldn't imagine doing that for the first time. It's one thing to put on like a regular show, but you're doing a whole fest.
Remember when I said I'd bite off more than I could chew, and I just kind of go in guns blazing? That's another perfect example of
Yeah.
just you just got to do it, man. Just do it.
Okay, so then can I maybe ask, or actually you hate that. I'm just gonna ask
What
you,
was it?
what's no no no, what would you say was the worst instance of you biting off more than you could chew, like it really blew up in your face?
I wouldn't say anything's actually blown up in my face.
Oh,
Like
okay.
nothing. There's no like catastrophes that have happened from something that I've done
Oh,
besides
none?
wasted time and money. But
Well,
nothing that's like scarring me for life. You know
yeah.
what I mean?
But maybe you have like a thicker skin than most people getting into this.
Yeah, I mean, you try stuff and some stuff fails and some stuff is successful. That's business in general
True.
with
Yeah,
anything
yeah.
you do, man. A lot of people are afraid to do things. I've never done that before. Well, I never ran a label before. I didn't even pick up Adobe for like 15 years, and I did the
Yeah.
layout design for my first vinyl release. Like, you just got to do stuff.
Right, right. Yeah.
Teach yourself, learn. The internet is
Mhm.
full of knowledge.
So that leads me to asking about Death Relic then. Because did you start that simultaneously with Iron Fortress?
No, that started August of 24.
Okay.
It actually started with an idea that is totally different than what it is now.
Hmm.
Initially, I wanted to do merch drops, but I wanted to work with like when a lot of labels or merch companies in general do merch drops, it's always with bands. All
Mm.
just bands, bands, bands. I wanted to do labels and I wanted to do artists, like visual
Hmm.
artists
Oh, cool.
that
Okay.
have brand identities.
Okay.
Um, and I did two. I did one label and one artist, and neither was successful. So I was
Oh,
like,
okay.
okay, well I'm gonna because I did launch. It was like patches, flags, um, slip mats, things like that, like merch items.
Yeah.
And yeah, and none of them really, none of that took off. So I just kind of pivoted into something different with it.
Um, sorry,
I
when
mean,
you say
horror merch was always an idea too, because my first release was actually a set of 3 patches, embroidered patches that were all
okay.
like images taken from horror films.
Right, right. Okay. Just going back to the label visual artist idea. So the label that you're releasing, are you talking about like a record label?
It was Frozen Screams, so I did a merch drop for Frozen Screams, which is
Oh,
a
okay.
flag, a patch, and a slip mat, and they're all super killer designs.
And then the visual artist, who was the visual artist?
Vomit Tomb.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Actually, if I'm not mistaken, I kind of ripped off Vomit Tomb for my tattoo that I got. This
Oh, really?
tattoo?
I can see the resemblance. Yeah.
Yeah, which is funny because when my tattoo artist posted it, he was like, "Whoa, that looks killer" or something, and I was like, "Oh no."
Everyone takes influence from everybody, dude.
Yeah, I mean, it looks different enough, but it is, you know what I mean? The kind of like
Yeah,
blending into another.
it resembles his style for sure.
For sure. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So Death Relic then, is it basically kind of a place for you to like indulge in your love for horror films?
Yeah, I mean, and my love for design.
Right, right.
I
Okay.
can't get enough. Even though I do a million layouts and a million ads and videos and everything else, it's always fun to do merch, design as well.
Yeah. So does that mean that you're a big fan of Black Past, Video Violence,
I mean,
Tetsuo? Like these are
dude,
okay.
there's so many classics. I mean, I remember starting in elementary school with my love for horror.
Okay.
And everyone probably has a similar origin story. Going to the VHS store, like I'm talking pre-Blockbuster too.
Yeah,
Like you
totally.
said,
Yeah,
you were
yeah.
like 41. I'm
Yeah.
38, so I
Yeah.
was born in 1987. So like early 90s, early to mid 90s, VHS was still very prominent.
Yeah, totally.
And there was a store called Box Office Video
Hmm.
that eventually closed down because Blockbuster opened up across the street. Sadly enough,
Yeah.
but that was an old school store. This was pre DVD, and I remember just going in there mainly to rent video games, Super Nintendo,
Sure.
and I just remember they had a horse selection, and like I would just obsess over looking at the back of the boxes, looking for all the
Yeah,
group,
totally.
which is funny now because I obsess more about cover art now. But back
Hmm.
then, it was all about mainly seeing the real imagery within the movie that it got me excited, which is like
Mm.
completely reversed on what the marketing teams were trying to do with those films, right? The main cover art is what should attract you first, but I would just flip
Right.
everything. I would go through, look at every single Nightmare on Elm Street, and try to find. I always had my favorite scenes from each one on the back
Yeah.
of the boxes. And I remember my grandmother was babysitting me once. I was in fifth grade, and we went to the movie store. My parents would never let me rent anything that was too brutal, right?
Okay.
And I rented Child's Play for the first time.
Yeah.
My grandma not knowing what I was getting into, and that was probably like my first like actual like brutal horror. I mean, back then, I mean, if you look at it now,
Totally. Yeah,
a
yeah.
kid that's like 9 watching that, that's could be a little harrowing.
Might fuck them
Uh,
up.
Yeah, but I mean, I read like every Goosebumps book in fifth grade, and I was watching
Yeah.
Monster Squad and all that stuff, like I mentioned earlier. Just growing up, I
Right,
had an older
right.
sister that would bring a lot of that stuff around too, which was cool. So
Same. Yeah. Yeah. My
yeah,
older sisters were both into horror. And so
yeah,
they would rent something and then I would sneak and grab it. Like that's how I watched like Sleepaway Camp for the first time when I was a
yep,
kid, a lot of that shit. So with these designs, like I was just assuming they're bootlegs, like they're like you
100%,
don't
yeah.
okay,
Well, that
okay,
that's
cool.
so that's if you look at modern horror merch, these companies are not going to get a license for a shirt that's so niche. It's going to sell 5 shirts,
Right.
like
Yeah.
Black Past. You know
Yes.
what I mean? That's not going to be a money maker. But what's cool
Yeah.
about doing bootlegs is I don't love within the death metal world. I don't really love bootlegs, especially if the band is still around, even if they
Yeah.
are a classic band. But in the horror realm, dude, these movies are so old, and a lot of them were made just straight to VHS. You're never going to get merch
Mm.
for them, dude. You're never going to see merch for that.
No, no.
So I like the whole premise behind Death Relic is to have this insane selection, which I think is like upwards of 1,000, almost 1,000 designs now or something nuts.
Oh my god.
Any horror movie you could possibly think of,
Yeah.
down to stuff like POV movies like Blood Lake. You know what I mean? Like the most
Yeah,
obscure
yeah.
stuff. I have a lot of it on there. I have not seen everything that I've made merch for.
Oh,
No,
okay.
I mean that's
Interesting.
a goal of mine, I guess, in time. But man, that's a lot. That's a lot of movie watching. I've seen plenty of horror in my day, but there is some obscure stuff that I'm always finding new things too. So
Wait, so you haven't seen Black Past?
no, I've never seen that. Mm-mm.
Oh
I know,
no.
I know. Cut,
You gotta
delete
see
this
it, man.
portion, dude.
Yeah,
Delete this portion.
yeah. It's
No,
okay.
I'm
It's
not.
okay.
I'm not ashamed to say I haven't heard every death metal band and that I haven't seen every horror film.
Well,
But
no, no, I know,
I,
I
I,
know.
I make this stuff for fans as well as
Yeah,
myself. You know what I mean? There's someone out there that I know loves Black
yeah.
Past, so why not have a
Me,
shirt
I
available
bought
for it?
it. Yeah. Have you
Yeah.
seen Burning Moon?
No,
Okay, so
it's on my list. I
You
have
gotta see
this
Burning
list.
Moon. You gotta see.
Dude, doing a lot of this merch design, there's a
Yeah.
huge list that I've accumulated over the couple years of doing it, where it's like, man, I
Okay.
got to see this because I do a ton of research. and I'm like, I
Okay.
want to see this. I want to see this. I just got to
Mm,
track it down. I don't really buy a lot of. I used to collect a ton of horror DVDs. There was this
sure.
shop in my town that had great deals on old DVDs, and they had everything sectioned off by genre. So I could just go
Yeah.
straight to horror and just dig through the bins, and I amassed like a crazy collection. Then they closed, and
Yeah.
I'm like, well, where the hell am I going to get my stuff now? Because I would
Yeah,
just pick up
totally.
random stuff that I didn't even know what it was.
That's what we all did. Yeah.
But
You
yeah,
find weird movies at that.
there's a ton to explore still for sure.
Yeah.
Burning Moon being one of them.
Oh my God, yes. Well, I mean, that was the thing that surprised me. I think it was the first time I bought a few shirts from the website, was just like, oh, there's a horror section. And then right away, the first like 10 shirts, it showed Black Pass. I didn't even go further. I was like, oh, I need a Black Pass shirt in my life. So, which is just a glowing, review for you to like try and see it.
What
It's
else
so
do you
crazy.
remember what else you bought
Yeah,
shirt
this
wise?
shirt, the Capul shirt,
I saw
and
that when we first got on. I thought that was the design that I did. Yeah.
yeah, in Splattered Spine.
Mm, great band. About to
Yeah.
reissue their, well, not reissue, repress the CD that we put out last year. So
Oh, cool. Okay. Yeah, great CD. And then the recent order I did was Matrophagy
hmm
and Tetsuo.
nice.
So that Tetsuo shirt, the design is incredible. Like you fucking killed that design.
A lot of times I try to just replicate honestly, a lot of the assets that I take, you would think people would be looking at movie posters. A lot of times I'm looking for VHS scans.
Okay.
So a lot of stuff that I'm pulling, not that one in particular, but the whole
Yeah.
essence is to kind of take the original cover, and you don't have to do a ton to it, and turn it into a t-shirt design. What does that look like? I
Yeah.
don't know, moving the logo to the top, maybe adding a tagline at the bottom, like nothing crazy. Because honestly, I
Yeah.
hate modern horror merch. It's so flamboyant, thousands
Yeah.
of colors. The designs are just like way
Yeah.
too intense. Like
Yeah.
it's too much. I hate it. So I wanted to kind of strip it down, keep it more simplified. Just a lot of people just want a lot, dude. I've gotten people that want more just logo tees, just the movie logo, maybe with
Yeah.
something on the back, but they just want stuff that's you would think would be more of like a band T-shirt
Sure. Sure.
than a movie
Well,
shirt.
you're kind of making me think of my friend Payson, who's in Tomb Mold, used to do
Mm,
horror bootleg shirts, and his whole like idea of approaching it was like, oh, I want to basically make death metal long sleeves that I can
yep,
wear on tour, but they're for horror movies.
yep,
And so that was his whole approach. It would be very like, stripped back kind of stuff. And I think that's what I loved about the Tetsuo one, was that it was just very simple in a way,
hmm
but like almost like perfectly simple. Like you just had kind of like a white rectangle kind of frame, and then Tetsuo, and then the image of like the guy kind of crouched down. There wasn't really a lot to it per se, but it was just right.
yeah. I like to keep it fairly simple for most of the stuff. It's better that way.
What would you say is like the shirt on Death Relic that's probably sold the best? Like the most popular design?
Anything Texas Chainsaw Massacre, especially
Okay. Yeah.
especially the breakfast. You know how the main image for that movie was like a kind of like a Breakfast Club ripoff of the
Yeah,
whole
yeah.
family. If you go
Mhm.
back and look at that photo of all the whole family, it kind of resembles Breakfast Club, the cover of that.
Right, right.
I think that's what they were trying to mimic with that. I'm not 100% sure, but growing up, I watched like every John Hughes movie possible, and that's
Okay.
exact, and especially Breakfast Club, and that's what that image reminds me of. And it's
Yeah.
from the second movie, so there's like a
Yeah.
white and a black version with just that image and then the logo beneath it. I don't know what it
Okay.
is. That is like one of the most basic. It's not even a shirt that I would even wear or like that much, but man,
Okay.
dude, people just like buy it every week. I'm like, okay, whatever.
Wow.
Guinea Pig sells really well too. A lot of the obscure stuff like that.
Yeah. Have you seen those movies? The guinea pig
I've
movies?
seen the first one, yeah, and then I've seen Bouquet of, or what, there was a newer one that came out somewhat recently. It's not Japanese.
Oh, the American guinea pig. Yeah.
Yes, I've seen that too, and then I dived into some other kind of obscure stuff with August Mortem.
Oh, yeah. August Underground. Yeah.
Those are
You have a
there's
shirt for them, right?
yeah, there's like two or three shirts on there. I
Oh,
remember
wow.
watching that for the first time. Oh man, I was probably like 20, and I had to turn it off.
Wow.
It was at that point I was like, this is upsetting. I've seen it all the way through since then.
Right.
But yeah, people gravitate towards the real sick stuff.
Oh
Like
yeah,
you
yeah.
also just don't see merch like that anywhere. So
That's true. That's true. I believe the director of that film did stuff with the death metal band.
oh, did he?
I want to say Necrophagist. I know
Okay,
there's like a
cool.
bunch of bands with a very similar name like that, so I could be wrong.
That's a
But
famous tech, brutal tech band. They're on Willow Tip, or they used to be. I think they might. I don't know if they're around anymore, but yeah, really good
okay,
BDM band. More on the technical side, but great
yeah,
band.
yeah. Well, yeah. So they've been associated with it. And I feel like as we started this conversation, death
Kind of
metal and
again, yeah,
horror. You know,
full
it's all
circle.
it's all connected. Yeah. Well, we're actually right at the hour mark, so I feel like I should wrap this up. But is there anything else that you wanted to kind of mention? I was telling you before we recorded, this is coming out May 26th. So if there's anything that you wanted to just kind of mention, like coming out soon or plug anything.
I mean, there's always stuff coming out. If you like death metal, obviously follow me on Instagram. That's where I spend most of my time. I'm on every social media, YouTube too. If you're a YouTube person, you can find every release I've ever done on there. I'm on Bandcamp. Follow my newsletter. There's a Spotify playlist, so and most of my releases are on Spotify, so you can find all the music there. If you're watching this because you're a horror fan, check out Death Relic. Go to the website and click on the merch button, and there's a Death Relic whole section right there. You can find all the T-shirts available. I'm always uploading new stuff, so and follow the Death Relic page too on Instagram. I post a new shirt every day.
Wow. I
Not
didn't
saying that
know
I'm
that.
not saying that I'm uploading a new shirt every day, but I post about a shirt that's available every day, or I try to
Okay.
until I run out,
Oh, I see. I see. Okay. Cool.
which
Oh,
is
can
inevitable.
you tease any Death Relic shirts you're going to be dropping soon?
No, because I haven't designed anything lately. I just did
Oh,
a bunch of
okay.
Resident Evil stuff for the
Okay.
games,
Oh, okay.
for
Cool. Cool.
the
Sweet.
original 3 games. There's some
Yeah.
video game stuff on there, not a ton. But yeah, there's nothing that I am working on that I haven't put out yet.
Okay. Huh.
There's already so much on there. I heard people get
Yeah.
fatigue from just scrolling. So I've actually tried to minimize a little bit of it. Like I got rid of all the hoodies, and I got rid of doing hats and tank tops, and I'm just kind of solely focused on just t-shirts and
Yeah.
nothing more. Trying to simplify it, make it a little bit easier to understand and
Sure.
to find what you're looking for. Because
Yeah.
you can go crazy real fast, especially me.
Yeah. Well, if you ever need ideas, titles
Oh,
to
dude,
research, hit me
DM me.
up.
There's a
I'll
guy
yeah.
that hits me up all the time. All his stuff is like super obscure, like 60s stuff that I've never
Oh,
seen.
okay.
That I'm thinking this probably won't even sell one. To be honest with
Oh,
you,
okay.
I'm more
Yeah.
focused on 70s and 80s, and I dipped a little
Sure.
bit into the 90s. Um,
Yeah.
I'm becoming more nostalgic for 90s stuff now, but when I first got into it, I was watching a lot of 90s stuff, so I'm really more interested in kind of diving deeper into the older titles.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
yeah, if you ever have any ideas, anyone's welcome to DM me and say, "Hey, check this movie out. How about this image?" And I'll
Yeah.
take a look at
Okay. Expect a DM soon.
it.
At
I
least
wake
by the
up
time the
every
episode comes
morning
out.
with 10 different, even a new list every day for me.
Why not? Okay, so we'll move to the questionnaire and I'll let you get on your way. All right. What is one item you can't live without?
Oh man, I mean, my PC that I'm on right now. I would say if people were like, "Yeah, laptop or phone." Nah, man, it's the PC. I can't design on my phone.
That's fair.
This
That's
is my
fair.
life's blood, or my.
Yeah.
I guess it's more than one item, but my record collection would be
Okay.
a coveted item as well, but that's more than just one, obviously.
That's fair. That's fair. What was the last great movie you saw in theaters?
I don't get the chance to go see movies in the theaters very often. There's no movie theater in my town that I currently live in.
Oh no.
And so the reason behind that for me not having time is my wife and I have been raising 2 boys under 4 for the past 4 years with no family around us. So there's
Okay.
been very little time, or there's no
Yeah.
way to go see a movie. I took my 4-year-old to his first movie last weekend. We went and saw the new Mario. I don't know if
Oh,
that
okay.
counts, but he
No,
loved
if
it.
you liked it, why not?
was cool
Did you
for
like
him.
it?
Yeah,
Oh,
those are
okay.
those are fun. I've seen. I mean, all I do is practically watch kids movies these days. So I try to
Oh, okay.
get my son like his first movie he ever watched was the original Texas Chainsaw, but he was like 1.5 years old, not having any idea what's going on. Although I have successfully made him obsessed with Halloween. So now I'm
Okay.
working on the other one, the younger one.
Sure, sure.
Yeah. So
Halloween.
there's
eh,
always stuff that I want to. I try not to go too hardcore with it. So we watch the
Yeah.
Goosebumps movies and anything that's a little. There's a couple Disney movies like Halloween Town, Hocus Pocus. The stuff that's softer. Eventually,
Yeah.
probably 2 or 3 more years. I don't want to scare the kid to death. He already
Sure.
has
Yeah.
nightmares. So
Yeah. You could try Black Past. No,
really okay.
no. It's
On my list,
gnarly.
dude.
It's gnarly. Yeah, don't ever show that.
That's funny.
uh, okay. What was the last great concert you went to?
Um, I mean, honestly, so I mentioned that Tomb Seeker band.
Mm-hmm.
That they're the only local band on the label. The last good show that I went to was their album release show.
Oh, okay. Cool. Cool.
Yep, and
When
they're
was that?
fantastic live. January?
Oh, okay. It wasn't that long ago.
No, about 2 months ago. And then I'm sure the
Yeah.
next great show will be this upcoming Gate Cooper show. I've never seen them live, so
Right.
that'll be
Yeah. With Dying Remains.
sick. And a band called Eternal, which is excellent as well.
Okay. Sweet. What was the last great book you read?
I don't read.
Ever?
I don't have time, man.
Not even at bed. Like I read every night before I go to bed. It helps me sleep, you know?
I'm either researching for the label,
Okay.
looking up stuff to reissue, checking out new bands. Because, dude, as much as I love what I do, it is
Yeah.
insanely time consuming if I want to stay good
Sure.
at it.
Yeah.
People underestimate what it's like to be a buyer, a product buyer
Yeah.
for a store. So not only am I running a label, but the bulk of what I spend my time on, and the bulk of why people are in the stores to buy my distro. All the
Mm,
domestic label product that I bring in, everything that I import. So I have to know every label, every band, every release, what's new, what's old, who repressed what the new reissue is. Like I have to stay on top of all that. So I'm doing a
yeah.
lot of research. And luckily death metal is like my core being. So
Yeah. You love
it's
it. Yeah.
fun. Yeah, it's fun to do, but it's very time consuming. And if I'm not doing
Mm,
that, I'm obviously spending time with my family. And if I really
right.
want to take some time off, which I do, I play a lot of games.
Okay.
Or I
Well,
used
okay.
to. I used to play a
Yeah.
ton of games. I still play weekly now, but it's nowhere near the amount of hours that I used to sink in.
Right. So let's pivot then. Do you have like a favorite book that you read at some point, you know?
Dude, I haven't read a proper book and I don't know how. Like I'm not kidding. It's just never
Okay.
been it's never been something that I've chose to make a hobby of mine.
Really?
Film,
Okay.
gaming,
Sure.
music,
Sure.
those
Okay.
have always been my focuses. I don't know how you
Yeah.
can have 5 or 6 hobbies. You know what I mean? If I've dabbling in every media, man, you must have a lot of time on your hands.
No,
Kudos to you.
yeah.
You
I
want to
mean,
trade spaces?
as I said, I read when I go to bed. It helps me sleep.
Yeah,
But that's about
yeah,
it, you know.
yeah.
But okay.
I'm
Okay.
reading
Well,
too.
I'll
Just
leave yeah.
I'm reading distribution lists, not
Yeah.
stories.
Your eyes get a workout either way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, this one's a long question. For his final meal, John Wayne Gacy picked KFC chicken, shrimp, and strawberries. For your final meal before being executed, what would you pick?
Indian cuisine,
Okay, nice.
curry, something as standard as maybe some butter chicken on rice, some potato samosas, some garlic
Hmm.
naan bread.
Oh yeah.
I could devour that for hours, man. And I don't
Yeah.
get it as often as I want, sadly.
Yeah. Are there spots in your town?
Not so I live in a town of like 5,000 people. So no.
Okay. No.
Not much
Okay.
here. The nearest town has some spots, but just in Kansas City in general, there's not even the last city that I just moved from because we just moved to my wife's hometown to be closer to
Okay.
family to help us
Nice.
manage these two demons that rule my house.
Yeah.
And the last town I was in was right outside Kansas City, and it was a suburb of 100,000 people, and they still didn't
Okay.
have a single Indian restaurant.
Wow.
So it's
Yeah.
just hard to find in general around here. They are available, but it's difficult. Maybe that's why it's so
Mm.
coveted in my mind. Because
Sure.
I
Yeah.
do a lot of cooking. I do all the cooking in my house.
Oh, okay.
I guess that's another hobby of mine would be cooking.
Cool.
But I've not mastered Indian cuisine. I've never even really dabbled in it because I know there's a lot to it.
Yeah,
And I'm
it's
trying to
tough.
cook for 4 people, and my sons don't want to eat anything too crazy off the cuff. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right. Yeah,
So
yeah.
got to
They're
keep
not
it somewhat
ready.
simple. A lot of different types of
Yeah.
pastas, things of that nature.
Yeah, yeah,
But
that makes sense. Do
yeah.
you have like a favorite Indian spot in particular?
Yeah, well, there. I mean, I did in town where I was, or near it, the town over. It was called Indian Palace.
Oh, okay. Cool,
Just your
cool.
stand. I mean, they're all obviously some of them are better than others, but all the ones that I've had are relatively equal on the
Hmm,
satisfaction scale for me.
for sure. No, Indian's great.
It's
I
just
find
hard to come by.
it's good in during the winter,
Hmm. Yeah,
you
it's
know?
always everything is
Yeah,
piping hot.
gets you sweating. Okay.
Yeah, especially if you like it spicy.
Yeah. Last question. Can art go too far?
Yes, it can. I think it depends. So I guess I can answer this question in a frame of reference that makes sense for me and what I do on a daily basis, which is
Mhm.
release music.
Yeah.
It's funny as it is, and the horrible things that I watch on a weekly basis, and that you probably also watch, right? Regarding horror films, I don't.
Yeah.
I think an album cover can go a little too far, and there's just two specific things that I don't have a taste for.
Mhm.
Um, One is anything regarding children,
Yeah.
you don't even really see that in horror films either. But being a father of two, it's just not something
Yeah.
I want to partake in.
Yeah.
Like there was a band that they mentioned an album title that had filicide in it. I was just
Okay.
like, that's about kill. I don't want to talk. I don't want to release an album about killing your children.
Yeah.
That's so fucked up. And that especially as a father, it's like that's something I would never even fathom, right? And the
Yeah.
other thing is, which is funny because I love brutal death metal, but there's a lot of brutal death metal that's super cringe to me, and it's
Okay.
very misogynistic,
Oh
like
yeah.
just overboard, tons
Yeah.
of violence against females. But
Yeah.
it's like a stationary photo of it with like an album that's tied to it, talking about clits and other shit. I'm just like, what are we doing? This is so cringe, guys. Like,
Yeah.
this is just not. I just don't have a taste for that style of brutal death metal, and you'll never
Mm.
see that. There was even a band last year that I released an album with, and this is the only time I've ever had to do this, and I made
Hmm.
them change the artwork before we released it
Okay. What
because
was it?
it was a fairly explicit rape scene
Okay.
on the cover, and the art itself was done beautifully. As weird as that sounds, it
No,
was
no,
the
no. I
imagery
get it. I get it.
behind
Yeah.
it, and there was two
Yeah.
pairs of tits on the cover art. And I'm just like, too much.
Wait. So
Maybe
the.
one pair, but then you had to put another pair on the bottom right corner. Like it just didn't make any
Oh,
sense to
okay.
me, and it came across as crass, and it
Yeah.
didn't
Yeah.
do the music any justice.
Okay. I thought you meant like the woman had four breasts.
No, there was just two
Okay.
separate images on the artwork that were
Okay.
boobs. I'm just like,
Huh.
okay, I don't know. That doesn't. And the art, it was cool, but it was. I wouldn't. It was too much. I also have to think about it from a marketability standpoint too.
Sure.
If I have to take your album cover and bleep everything out on YouTube, on Bandcamp, and everywhere, I can't market it and I can't sell it because
Yeah.
imagery is a lot. There has a lot to do with the music itself.
Yeah. Totally. Totally.
So
Hmm.
those are the two things that I think where art can go too far,
What did
to
they?
my current tastes at least.
Yeah. No. No. I think that makes a lot of sense. What did they end up doing instead of that original idea?
They went back to an artist they had used previously. That was just like that's artist style, and it was just kind of like his style was difficult to. You'd have to see it.
Okay. Sure.
I don't want to name the band or the release or anything, but
No. 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 I
the
respect that.
artwork that we used ended up being awesome. I mean, I like that artist, so I was fine with it. It was less explicit. Let's just say that.
Yeah, I figured. Yeah, we need more like demons and stuff like that. Like
Dude,
more supernatural.
Satan needs to make its way back into death metal for sure.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's like a conversation unto itself. But
Yeah,
yeah,
there's not a lot of that evilness anymore.
Yeah. So advice to any bands listening: if you want Ben to really take a look at your submission, make it satanic themed and have
Yeah.
demons and stuff like
No,
that.
just don't ask me if you can submit. How about
Oh,
that? We'll k- we'll
that's
keep
true.
it we'll keep it simple. Also,
Yeah.
streamable link, not downloads. Because dude,
Yes.
if I'm out and about, obviously I'm here 8 hours a day, right?
Right.
And I can easily listen to it. But if I really want to listen to the album, I have to open up, download individual files, put them either on my Bandcamp just so I can listen to it, or throw it into my iTunes or something. That takes a lot of
Yeah.
time. I don't want to do all that.
Yeah.
Send me a
Yeah.
link. YouTube is
Hmm.
fine, SoundCloud, whatever, and I can just play it. But also, it's helpful if I'm at home on the weekend and I want to check it out, maybe at nighttime. Wife's watching a
Mm,
movie. I want to take a look at this new submission. Put a pair of headphones in. I can't do that if you're sending me download links.
right. But like Dropbox is something that you can stream and you could download.
Yeah, Dropbox can work as well. I just prefer
Mm,
other methods. But a lot of bands
okay.
don't even do Dropbox. They're just like a straight up download.
Okay. I
You'd be
see. Like
surprised how often I'm not even getting a Dropbox.
okay. Good to know.
You can tell how
Well,
triggered I'm getting thinking about this.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. Okay, Ben. Well, thank you so much for your time. I'm super stoked for everything coming out this year and all the stuff that you'll announce. And I'm sure you'll see an order from me in the next couple months.
Yeah, I'll
Some
watch out
more
for your name.
Yes, exactly.
I'm gonna go through and snoop through all my orders and find all the stuff that you've bought.
2 orders in the past 8 months, I believe.
Not too shabby.
Not too shabby. Okay. All right. Good talking to you, man. Have a good one.
Thanks, Bob. Take care.
See ya.
Thank you for listening. To hear more shows from the Someone's Favorite Productions podcast network, please select the link in the description